One of the funniest things that I had saw for a while now, and I thought was just really interesting, was when they started to come up with this concept of quiet quitting. And it's always been this like binding war between employees and employers, where employees start to feel like they have to rebel by doing less work, but still putting in time into their positions. And employers start to do a little bit of digging and researching where they start to figure out that maybe their employee is starting to take different things into their own hands and probably bragging about quiet quitting. Either way, a lot of this workforce stuff, it just does not compute. I don't agree with people trying to take on TikTok challenges to prove a point to their employer. My thing about it is simple things would tell you that if you don't feel comfortable at your job, start looking for something else. And especially these days when you have the on-site of working from home or doing remote work or doing hybrid work. And so that's the things that's at your disposal. And if you get sick and tired of the workforce in general, then you should probably be able to take your talents into developing a side hustle as your main hustle, and then combining that with other side hustles and being able to make a grand finale of money to your liking. So one of the concepts that I see a lot of these companies are picking up on, they're starting to come into this whole entire concept of quiet cutting. And with quiet cutting, it's just one of these cunning little ideas that these companies are starting to do by trying to switch these employees in positions and doing lower statuses and lower pay so that it gives the employee the inclination to quit, or the fact of the matter, they want to do this to entice the employee to quit. Either way, when you see a lot of these different concepts coming along, it just shows you how childish a lot of these employers, these companies, and all these people around the world in the workforce are doing things to basically kind of just gat at each other in war. But at the same time, who really has the upper hand in this situation? If you have an abundance of employee, then it doesn't hurt your business. But if you only have like a select number of people in your business and you decide to do quiet cutting and your employee quits, or there's a mass reduction of people in your company and you have to try to find whoever it is, you wind up hurting in the end. For the employee, if this is a company where they have a mass amount of employees or fellow coworkers, then you're the one that starts looking bad on the end because you want to brag about quiet quitting for what? So we're going to check out this article today in which these companies embark on this thing called quiet cutting. So let's check it out. Companies are now quiet cutting workers. Here's what that means. Shout outs to Megan. Some companies are reassigning workers in a way that's sending them mixed messages, emails informing employees that their current job role has been eliminated, but that they have not been fired, are leaving those staff members with feelings of confusion, fear, and anger, dubbed quiet cutting. This latest outgrowth of the quiet quitting movement effectively allows companies to cut jobs and trim costs without actually laying off workers. And one of those sort of things is they didn't really, it's funny that they have a name for it nowadays, because back when I had worked in different companies, they would just switch my position and just say, hey, you're working here now. And then that's it. Or, we're moving it to this, or we're moving that to that. And then, of course, you would get paid less, you would work less hours, and you would get treated like crap. All the while you're putting all this time and effort into a company that doesn't want to understand your value. Only certain managers or certain people would see your value. So, dub quiet cutting, excuse me. The strategy is gaining traction as a restructuring move. Companies including Adidas, Adobe, IBM, and Salesforce are among employers that have restructured its workforces in this way over the past year. Financial research platform Alpha Sense found that over the last year, such reassignments have more than tripled. And with that being said, they try to combine job titles and then try to stretch employees thin by taking on double the work that they have so that they can still keep up with the productivity, in my opinion. Lower status, lower pay. Quiet cutting taps into workers' fears of layoffs at their company amid a weakening job market. While reassigned workers remain employed, the reassignments often land them in roles with titles that are less prestigious, come with lower pay, and more demanding. They recount to getting a phone call or an email from a manager, basically telling them that your job has been reassigned and you will be doing this from now on, and basically take it or leave it. Careers reporter with the Wall Street Journal, Ray Smith, who first reported on the trend, told CBS News. According to Smith, some individuals initially felt relieved they weren't being axed. But on the other side, they were angry and confused, and they felt the new job they had was either lower status or lower pay or more responsibilities or something that they didn't even have experience in, Smith said. And so they were really angry that the companies about this. And with that being said, it's just funny because what the employers or the company itself trained their employees to take on this quote unquote new position, or would it be like, well, you can ask around, you can ask people who know how to do this and how to do that, not giving the employee a fair chance to understand the assignment that they're going to be dealing with and having to rely on coworkers who can and cannot help them, all deciding factors. Smith spoke to some workers who said the backhanded demotions take a toll on their mental health. Their identity is tied up with their titles and the work that they do. And if you're suddenly being told do something else, especially if it's a demotion, it can send you spiraling and wondering, what is the message that the company is sending to me? Passive aggressive termination. Quietly cut workers also feared that their employers were trying to force them into roles in which they would be so miserable they would eventually quit, according to Smith. It's sort of like pushing you into this corner and saying, if you don't take it, you have to leave, Smith said, adding that no company will say we're quietly cutting people. It is sort of a reduction in workforce, almost in a passive aggressive way, he said. The bottom line is, if someone who refuses an assignment or eventually leaves after not liking this reassignment, once they leave, the company doesn't have to pay thousands of dollars in severance costs. So it actually saves them in costs, said Smith. Well, in my opinion, these type of moves is obviously ways to save money in the company, not having to pay for new employees, stretch the employee thin, and also try to get them into a corner or try these different tactics of trying to fire their employee, hoping that they don't understand the new reassignment position and they're going to have a hard time, and trying to see what their work performances is like so that they have a reason to terminate them. Those are all different things that I see from this quiet cutting concept and these quiet ideas. It just seems so ridiculous. These are the type of terms that they start to go with, even though it was brought upon slightly from the whole entire quiet quitting concept. Tell me what you think about this in the comment section. Remember to like, share, subscribe. Peace.